Okay, hello everyone. You're all welcome to week one, day two. We're going to continue the project from yesterday. I think yesterday we were working on the project management database. Please, are there any questions on that before we begin? I want to address any of your questions from yesterday. Um, so this is the document we're using yesterday, project management data model. This Excel document. So I'm going to launch that. Are there any questions before we begin? Okay, so yesterday we were able to use the interface approach. We were able to use the graphical interface approach to create a database called project management. Working with this document, so we had the database project management, and so that's an easy one. We just had to right click on the databases folder right here and do new database. Simply type in the name of the database and click on OK. So I'm just going to do a revision on that. And the next we required to create a schema called Galactus. And you just have to remember that schemas are located in the security folder of any database. So if you open a database, for example, project management, the security folder is right here. And if you expand on that, the schemas folder is right here. So to create a new schema, you simply have to right click on this folder, new, and you specify the name of the schema and you click on OK. So yesterday we did create the Galactus schema. If you can see that in the schemas folder right here. And then of course remember DBO is a default schema. So this is the schema that will host any object that is created without mentioning the specific schema to which it belongs. Right. So by default, if you create a table without specifying the schema, it will be stored within the DBO schema. Right. And then the next thing we did is start creating the tables within the project management database. So we have the manager table and the project table. So I think yesterday we completed the manager table, but no records yet. I think if we go to this, we have databases, project management. You go to the tables folder, and you should be able to see the manager table right here and all the columns that we created. And if you want to go back to the design environment of any table, you can just simply right click on the table and go to design. So this will show you the environment where you can go add more columns or do some modifications on the existing columns. So this is what we call the design environment. This is where you add more columns to the table or do some modifications on existing columns and stuff like that. Right. And if you want to see the content of a table using the interface approach, you just simply right click on the table and you go to the select option, select top 1,000 rows. This will build a SQL command, which is this one right here, and it will execute it against the database and it will show you the content of the table. This is the output window right here. So you can clearly see that we have the columns in place, but no data yet. Right. So this is where we're going to take it off from today. I'm going to show you how to add data into a table. Okay. So any questions so far? So at the end of the day, we're going to have this setup right here. So right now we have just this part. We have the column structure where we are missing the data part. You see? So if you go to this side, we have the column structure in place. We are missing the data part, right? And then also, I gave you guys an assignment to extend the concept to the project table. So I just wanted you to create the project table as well, put in the columns. So project table from the project ID all the way to the manager ID. And that's what I think I did that already. So on the project side, we have right here, expand on the columns right here. And if you want to go back to the column design layout, you just simply right click on the table, go to design, right, right here. So this is where we ended yesterday. So any question? And one more time, if I display the content of this table, go to the select option, you'll just simply see the columns are right there, but no records. Yeah. Okay. Any question? Okay. So today our focus will be on how to insert records into table. So let me just go to the week one objective, and you notice that's one of the last things we're going to cover so that we can conclude on week one objective. So right here, see that inserting data or records into database tables. So that's the focus of today. So let's get started on that. Okay, so how do you insert data into a table? Right. So it's simple. We are using the interface approach. I'm going to demonstrate it with the no, sorry. I want to do something. I want to show you how to enforce a foreign key constraint. And that's the first thing I want us to see that. How do you enforce a foreign key constraint on table? If you go to this Excel document, you notice that manager ID it says FK. FK stands for foreign key, right? And if you go back to the manager table, you see manager ID PK. I've shown you how to uh, make or enforce a primary key on a column in the interface approach. If you go back to manager and just right click, design. Remember how we enforce a primary key on a column? You just simply click on the column, right click, and set primary key. So it is set to be primary key, so it's requesting you to remove the primary key. Right. In the case of a foreign key, please take note, the goal of a foreign key is to bring a relationship, to put in place a relationship between tables. So foreign keys are they're enforced differently. For primary keys, you focus on one particular table, and the goal of a primary key is to ensure that we have unique values on that particular column. So there's a primary key enforced on manager ID. If I go right here in the table side, you notice that no two managers have the same manager ID. See, so the goal of a primary key is to make sure that if I say manager ID 1, only Cecilia will show up. If I talk about manager ID, maybe manager ID 17, only Immaculate is going to show up, right? So that's the concept of a primary key. Primary key is a unique identifier. So it's unique, it's going to uniquely identify each record in a table. For example, we have VIN numbers in cars. No two cars have the same VIN number. So VIN number can be a good example of a primary key. The VIN number is used to uniquely identify a particular car. You see that? Same thing when you get hired in companies, they give you an employee ID. No two employees in the same company have the same employee ID. So those are candidates, potential candidates for a primary key, right? So now the next one is a foreign key. So when a primary key in one table finds itself in a foreign table, it becomes a foreign key. So manager ID right here originates from the manager table. And within the manager table, we refer to it as a primary key. But when you take manager ID and put it on the project table, it no longer becomes, you can no longer refer to it as a primary key. It now becomes a foreign key. And the goal of this placing manager ID on the project table is so that you can look at the project and easily tell what manager is assigned to that project. So this column right here is representing or referencing the column right here. And that's how you enforce a relationship between two tables. So these two tables are communicating through this column. So if I go to the project side and I ask you what manager is working on this project, you see this project right here, package deployment with project ID 120 package deployment. This project is assigned to this manager. So you're going to take this value 9 and look it up on the manager table 9 corresponds to this manager. You see that? So it's a reference, right? And that's to maintain the referential integrity so that every project is assigned to a valid manager. You cannot assign a project to a manager that does not exist. So when you go to the project table, each of these manager IDs do exist on the manager table. Right. So that's the foundation of a foreign key. It establishes a relationship between two tables. So let's go ahead and enforce that. I will do that through a database diagram. Right. So you just simply have to go to the project management um, database. And this is the database diagram right here. So if you're doing this for the very first time, simply just right click, install diagram support. This is the first thing to do. You have to install this diagram support. You click on yes. And the second thing, do it again and just go straight to new database diagram. Right. So what is a database diagram? A database diagram is simply a diagram which will show you all the tables you have in your database and how they are related. So remember, on the project management database, we have two tables, manager and project. So I'm going to select all of them and add it to my database diagram. You see that? So right here, once it's populated, you can just close this. Right. I you feel free, you can always move this and position them however you want it to be. So far, these are the two tables we have on the project management database. And these two tables, as of the moment, have no relationship. The two tables are independent. Right. That's just a moment. Let me go online and show you an example of a database diagram. Right. I'll just simply go to images. All right, this is what we call database diagram. So it shows you the tables that are available in the database and how the tables are related. So this tells you that this table is related to this table because there's a relationship line you see right here. That's exactly what we're trying to do. And this line represents the foreign key. All right, this is the foreign key. This is the relationship. So each time you think about foreign keys, you're thinking about relationship. So when you hear about foreign keys, the first thing that should come in your mind is relationship. So this is what we call database diagram. It shows you all the tables that are available in the database and how these tables are linked or related to each other. And that's exactly what we are trying to do. In Management Studio, it's easy. Every database has a folder called database diagram. So in fact, let me repeat this again so you understand it. So you simply have to target the database on which you want to generate the diagram. There will always be the first folder of every database is what database diagram. So you right click on it. If you're doing it for the very first time, you have to install the diagram support. Once you've installed that, you can now click on new database diagram. You select all the tables that you want to be part of the database diagram. Click on OK, sorry, add, and it will, it will add those tables on the database diagram. Just a moment, my system is slow. Right, so these are examples. So now you understand database diagrams, right? And when you get to a job, this is usually the first thing you do. You have to study how the different tables in the companies are linked to each other. It is going to help you to give you a good start. Usually, by looking at the database diagram, you even get to understand the business process, how the business is organized. See, these are database diagrams. That's exactly what we want to do, right? And this represents the the relationship. And when we think about relationship, foreign keys come in mind. So that's exactly what's going on right here. So this is very very important, and I'm just gonna use this for example. Let's go for something that is Okay, let's take a look at this. We have employee and we have department. Employee department. You see, there's a relationship right here between the employee table and the department table. And when two tables have a relationship, there's always a mutual column. So there's a column that drives this relationship, a column that is present in the department table and also present in the employee table. Something like so we have department number, department name, manager start date, department location. Let's look at this one: employee SSN, employee name, employee address, employee salary, employee supervisor. This is a poorly designed database. Just a moment, let me pull up something different. Okay, you know what? Okay, I think we're good. Yeah. So okay, so if you want to create relationship between tables, first there should be a mutual column. So we have the project table and we have the manager table. I I want to put this. I want to interchange the sides. I'm going to explain why I'm doing this. Right. So first, there must be a mutual column between the tables. So we have a manager table and we have the project table. Now you just go through this table and see which column is present in both tables. So we have a manager ID right here, and we also have a manager ID right here. And the reason why we are putting a manager ID on the project table is to identify what manager is working on any given project, right? So this is what we call a mutual column, a column that is present in both tables. And this column has the same business meaning in this table as well as in this table. So that's the first thing to build relationship between tables. Always identify the mutual column. So once you identify the mutual column, it's manager ID, manager ID. Now the next question is on what on which table is the manager ID or the mutual column the primary key? Manager ID is not primary key on this table. The primary key of this table is project ID. So manager ID is the primary key on this table. So the table on which your mutual column is the primary key, that table is referred to as the primary table. And then this one will be the foreign table. So manager ID will be a foreign key on this table. Hence, this table is the foreign key table. Manager ID is the primary key on this table. Hence, this is the primary table. Some people make this very interesting. They call the primary table the parent table. And that's why I put this on the left hand side, the parent on the left hand side, you see. And on the right hand side, I put the child table. So I'll just expose you to both terminologies. Primary table is the parent table, and the foreign table is the child table. So the table on which the foreign key will reside, manager ID will be a foreign key. This is the foreign table or the child table. And the table on which your mutual column is the primary key, that table is the primary table. So hence we have our primary table right here and our foreign table right here. Alternatively, you can call them the parent child table. So this sense of direction is very important because the next thing we're going to do is to drag and drop to create a relationship. And you always drag from the parent to the child. This is very important. So you see what I'm going to do? I'll click on this and click and press down and I drag. You see, that's just a very smooth move. You drag from the parent to the child. So I dragged from manager ID of the manager table to what? Manager ID of the project table. and I'm going to release my cursor right here. My cursor should be on the corresponding mutual column. So I'm dragging from the primary side to the foreign side, or from the parent side to the child side. And now I'm going to release. And those terminologies I used before is right here. The primary key table is manager. Why? Because on the manager table, manager ID was the primary key. The foreign key table is the project. Manager ID will be a foreign key on the project table, but it is a primary key on the manager side. Right. So please, if you have any question, just put on your microphone and ask. Right. So this is very important. And you can always change if the columns don't match what you want, you can always click in the drop down and select the appropriate one. So the last time I talked about mutual columns to establish relationship, this is it. Manager ID, manager ID. So the relationship between the manager table and the project table goes through the manager ID. So manager ID on the manager table is a primary key. That's why we call manager table the primary key table or the parent table. Manager ID on the project table will be a foreign key. And that's why project table becomes what? A foreign key table. So this is a parent-child relationship. So if I go ahead and click on OK, the following, just a moment, let me check on this manager ID. Manager to this, yes, click on OK. The following data type properties of columns is to not match those of. Okay, this is something very important. I have to do a fix on this. So I will explain that error. You have to make sure that the primary key data type is the same as the foreign key data type. So the columns that drive the relationship should be of the same data type. So that's one thing I have to go and investigate. Right. This is very, very important. I have to make sure that manager ID right here is the same data type as manager ID right here. So when you drag and drop, the two columns involved in the relationship must be of the same data type. That's a very important condition. So it looks like I have to check on that. Let me just cancel out this. We have to go back to the design of each table and check to confirm that information. So I'll begin with the manager one. On the manager one, I'll check the primary key column. This is it, integer. You see that? Right, this one is okay. And I'll go to the foreign side as project, and I'll check the data type for manager ID. Enter. That's the mistake right here. Are we together? Right. So this is very, very important. That was a mistake from my side. It's not from the see. This is integer. So I made a mistake and put enter. Of course, this mistake is important because that's giving us taking us to emphasize a very important point. So the primary key and the foreign key must be of the same data type. Please never forget that. This is very, very important. Why? Because the foreign key is representing the primary key. If you're representing something or you're referencing something, you must be on the same data type. Right. So this is a foreign key manager ID. If I go to the primary side of the parent table, it should be the same integer, integer. But in my case, the data types don't match. The foreign side says encar, while the primary side says integer. So you cannot create a relationship with two columns that have mismatched data type. Right. So this is very, very important. I have to go and fix this. Right. And how can I fix this? You have to go back to the design. So on the project side, I have to right click. So right click and go to the design. Please remember, if you want to edit or fix anything on columns, you go to the design of a table. So you right click on the table and go to the design. And this is it, manager ID. That's the problem right here. This should be an integer. See, and it's even stated in the requirement, integer. Manager ID should be integer. You see that? Right. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and you see there is an asterisk right here. Please take note. This asterisk is a visual indicator. It's a visual clue that you've done some adjustments that needs to be saved, right? So I'll go ahead and click on the save button. Right. Sometimes this system is built to prevent you making changes. Okay, the change actually went through. Oh, that's fine. See, so you notice that manager ID, the data type has changed to integer. I'm going to shut this down. I have to refresh the database so that it gets updated. Right. And I have to check and make sure that the modification was actually implemented. So let's go to the project table and let's confirm that the data type for manager ID has been updated to integer. You see it right here. And now the primary key and the foreign key are of the same data type. This is very important. Yeah, this is a very important error that came up at a very crucial moment. So right here, primary key manager ID integer. This is going to be a foreign key integer. Right here, right now it doesn't say foreign key, but once we put the relationship, I'll come back here and show you. You're going to see an FK right here. This one is already set to primary key. This one is not yet. So foreign keys bring the relationship. Once you put that relationship, you're going to see FK right here. And that's the next thing I'm going to show you. Okay, so let's go back to the diagram, database diagram, right click, and let's build that relationship. New database diagram. Just, select both. Sometimes you can click on one, click on add, right? You wait a while, click on the other, click on add. I don't like this approach. If you have 15 tables, you have to do it 15 times. So it's better to just drag across, highlight everything, and then you click on add just one. Okay, so you understand why I put the parent on this side and then I put the child on this side. So let's repeat this again. We simply have to drag from the primary side to the foreign side. Please drag from the one that has the primary key. The primary key, drag to the foreign, this one right here. This is very important. The movement, you cannot change this movement. You drag from the primary side to the foreign side. And once you put your cursor on the foreign column, you release. Right? And you simply confirm this. So my primary key table is manager, and I dragged from the manager ID of the manager table to the manager ID of the project table. I've confirmed this. This is correct. I click on OK. I click on OK. The relationship has been created. And now you can understand. You see this? You see that? You can just go ahead and pull this and just align it correctly. You see, it goes from manager ID of manager table to manager ID of the project table. This is what we call a relationship, and it's a foreign key relationship. So please take note. If you think about foreign keys, what comes in your mind is a relationship. So what does that mean? You cannot explain foreign keys in an interview without mentioning relationship. I always try to do this word association. When you hear this word, what triggers? When you talk about primary key, what comes in mind? Uniqueness, not null. Right? I want this to be obvious. When you think about foreign keys, what comes in mind? Link, relationship. Right? You have to understand this concept, right? So now you can see, you can understand how this was generated. You see that? Let's just take a moment and talk about this. You see, this side right here, the key is always attached to the parent table or the primary table. And this symbol right here is always attached to the foreign table or the child table. And if you want to explain this relationship to somebody, you're going to say this is a one to many relationship. So the key always represents the one side of the relationship, and this infinity symbol represents the many side of the relationship. One parent can have many children. That's true. One manager can be assigned to many projects. And that's true. If you go to this document, it supports that. Right. Each time you see a manager ID, that manager has a project. You see that? I don't know if can you see any manager with more than one project? That is possible, right? That's a many one to many relationship. So a manager can have many projects. Some managers may not have a project assigned to them yet. A manager can have be assigned to one project, many projects. So this is a one-to-many relationship. So it kind of addresses all those possibilities, right? So please take note the key points to the parent table or the primary table, and this infinity symbol points to the foreign table or the child table. And that's why this is a parent-child relationship. This is a one-to-many relationship. So key to key is one-to-one relationship. If you see a key on this side and a key on this side, that's a one-to-one relationship. But most, yeah, something like this: key to key, one-to-one relationship. Key to many, one-to-many relationship. You see that? Then they always try to avoid many-to-many relationship. That's very complicated. So you hardly see infinity map to infinity. Right, that's a many-to-many relationship. Right, database designers try to avoid that. There's a lot of complexity on that. Okay, any question? What do we notice right here? Asterisks all over the place. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. We have to save this. Click on save. Just give any name to this, since we're talking about the project management ER diagram. Just any name you can put right there. I don't want to type much right there. Right. This this file is going to be stored in this folder. Just approve that, yes. And the file we just created, if I shut this down, don't panic, it's right here. This is it. And you can always double click to open it. You see that? And before I start sharing people's screen, let me just refresh my project management database, and I'll go to the, see, please remember the foreign key is always enforced on the child table or on the foreign table. So in our case, our foreign table is what? Project table. So if I go to the project table, I should be able to show you that manager ID on the project table is now a foreign key. Previously, we never had this. You see the FK is now showing up. And this is a project table. This is a project table. And you see FK right here, integer. Let's go back to this. This is the project table. This is the manager ID, FK, integer, not null. Right. So both the primary key and the foreign keys, they have key symbols in front of them. The darker one, this is PK primary key, and the transparent or the white one is the FK. Okay, this is a moment where I need questions. I'm gonna give a chance for you guys to also enforce the relationship between the tables. So let's see how to enforce a foreign key relationship between two tables. Please take note, it goes through the database diagram. For the interface approach, we do it through the database diagram. Okay, I need somebody to volunteer.
Me, Immaculate.
Okay, Immaculate. Okay, Roland, I'm going to come to your screen and we're going to fix that issue you had. Okay, let me share Immaculate's screen. Please make sure you have the two tables created already. Immaculate, do you have the project table and the manager table?
I'm not sure if I have it. I have project table here. I have database diagram, but I don't have what you just did.
Okay, let me see your screen. Because yesterday we built the manager table, and I gave an assignment for you guys to build the project table.
I have the project table,
Okay, sounds good. Yeah,
but I don't have what you just did on the screen.
yeah, that's we didn't do this yesterday, so this is something new for today. Yeah,
Okay.
you're on the right track. Okay,
Oh,
I shared your screen. You have to, yeah.
I was just sitting here like a dummy.
Okay, no problem. Okay, can you take us to your management studio?
How do I do it?
So it's on the
It's on the
taskbar.
other monitor.
Okay, how many windows do you have? How many do you have? Two monitors?
I have a monitor and my. Should I move my table back to my laptop? I have a monitor and okay. Let me just
Yeah,
do
just
it
click.
this way.
Okay, just click on it and then you drag it and put it on this one that is on display. Okay,
Okay,
excellent. We can now see it. Yeah. Okay, sounds good. Um, so can you? Okay,
you
let's
need.
see. Just a moment. Okay, it looks like you don't have the tables. Can okay? Can you click on the project management database? Just click on that, and then click on refresh. The refresh button is at the top. No, that's it's still yeah, right there. Perfect. You touched it before. Yeah, right
Yeah.
there. Yeah, right there. Refresh. Click on refresh. Then can you expand? Can you click on the plus sign in front of project management database? The plus sign. Yeah, right there. Take us to the
Yeah.
tables. Expand on the tables folder. So I want to see if you have tables created already. No, click on the plus sign. Okay, not yet. Yeah, you don't have the tables created.
Oh, so I missed out on that.
Yeah. Anyway, don't worry. We're gonna do. Yeah, I will do. I'm gonna do another project. So you're gonna come back to this one, but I'll do another project. You're just gonna watch and see how we do it. Right. So
Okay.
don't worry about the project management for now. I will switch the focus of today is kind of different. I will switch to another project and we can now all come on board on that. But please
Okay.
make sure you catch up on the videos. Right. I think we should just do that instead of wasting time.
I
Just
saw I saw just one video. Was there another one?
yeah, there was another one.
When was it shared?
I think last night I shared two videos.
I only saw the one from the lecture.
Okay. Yeah, I will talk about that later. Yeah, last night I shared two videos. One for the recording of yesterday, and another one which is a pre-recorded session for today.
Oh, I just saw that one now. Maybe I did not notice it because it might have come when I was sleeping.
Okay, no problem. Yeah. Okay.